Welcome to the United States of Tiffany. Our commentary offers a humorous take on wrestling. Please note, we're not bullying or attacking the wrestlers. We're engaging with the choreographed sport and its storylines. Our jokes and observations are about the characters and storylines, not the real people behind them. Tourists and citizens alike, welcome. Enjoy the show and remember, it's all in good fun.
All right, so let's just get into this because I thought NXT was starting at 8. So I missed the first 50 minutes of the show. So they put the tag team titles up first, and I'm just going to say I was disappointed in that. One, because Axiom and Frazier got the titles back when they shouldn't have, and two, because Chase U is always the butt of something. They don't really get any traction going in any direction one way or the other. It just is an unfair thing for them. It's like having those tag team titles curses them for some reason. Every time they get them, they end up losing them, and they lose them in the worst way possible. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm all for telling a story, right? But this story could have been told 2 weeks ago. If I recall, did they not win those titles at the Great American Bash? Right? That was when they won it the last night of the Great American Bash.
I believe so.
So that was like what, 2, maybe 3 weeks ago? I would say that's about 2 weeks ago.
Something like that.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, they were champion. They had the championships for 2 weeks. 2 weeks they were champions. Okay. This was unnecessary. What you should have done is you should have had Axiom and Frazier win against Chase U and then had Bridge Holland turn on them. Which I wouldn't have minded. It would have been a good thing. Whatever. They could have had that whole pep talk and pep rally shit the night before the match. Played that vignette before they had the match. Axiom and Frazier could have came in there and said the same shit they said this past Tuesday before the match. All of that could have been done before they lost their opportunity at the tag team titles. But for you to give them the titles for 2 weeks, only for them to drop them to Axiom and Frazier, and then turn around and have Ridge turn on them. Yeah, it's a cute storyline, but to me, it was a waste of time for the tag team titles, and you're wasting the tag team championships on Axiom and Frazier being a 2-time tag team champion when you've got actual tag teams in NXT who could be holding those belts at the moment. Now, some of y'all may not like Hank and Tank, but they are a legitimate tag team. OTM is there. Malik and Idris are there. Gallus is there. Love them or hate them, they're there. There is depth to this tag team division, and you keep using these belts to put over stories that don't involve the tag team division. Nuts. That's crazy to me. Now, Sean, usually I'm with you when you're right, but when your bald-headed ass is wrong, you wrong. You was wrong for how you booked this. This was a waste of time and a waste of a slot for NXT No Mercy. You shouldn't have did all of this just to have him turn on them. He should have turned on them 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it. Now, if I'm wrong about how long they've been champion, please excuse me, but I've been out of it for the last 3 weeks. I don't know. I can't remember how long they have been champion, but as far as I'm concerned, they ain't been champion long enough to strike a match. They ain't even had. Have they defended the damn titles?
I can't remember.
This was the first title defense they had.
I can't remember if they.
Come on, son. Come on. Like, it was just unnecessary. And I just didn't like it. That left a sour taste. But other than that, we'll move into the next part of the pay-per-view. Like I said, I missed the first 50 minutes of this show. So I didn't get to see everything from start to finish. I got to see the last few minutes of Wesley and Zachary Wentz's match, which really pissed me off because I thought the show started at 8 and it didn't. With all that being said, from what I saw, it was a solid match between the dudes. Now, these guys were out there battling each other, and Wesley was fighting him like he was a dog on the street. For the better part of what I saw, Wesley was taking over this match, and Zachary was always on the defense. He really didn't get much offense or traction until the very end. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all could correct me in the comments. I will gladly accept that because, again, like I said, I didn't get to see the big chunk of this match. I only got to I only got to see the last few minutes of it. So for me, what I saw was Wesley being dominant and Zachary Wentz taking a lot of damage. Ultimately, Wesley got so frustrated in this match and so overwhelmed with emotion, which lends a lot of credence to Zachary Wentz saying that Wesley is very sensitive. But he ends up grabbing a chair, and it's no longer about winning this match. It was just about decimating Zachary Wentz, to which Trey Miguel, obviously, with him being owed a receipt, decided that he was going to take the chair from Wes and tell him, this is your brother, you're not going to do that to your brother. And of course, this left the opening for Zachary Wentz to go on the attack, and he was able to take out Wentz with a take out Wes with a Canadian destroyer, and then I think he used a knee in the ring. I can't remember. Please forgive me if I'm messing it up, but y'all know movesets and me don't always click. Because they all look the same to me. And once I see you do a move and it looks similar, I immediately equate it to that. Now, Zachary ended up picking up the win in this match. And I should have known that he was going to win, mainly because he just got the TNT championship, the TNT X Division champion. Well, I'm sorry. I'm fucking up. The TNA X Division championship. God, the world is not on my side today. He just got the X Division championship a few days ago. Emergence over in TNA just happened, and he just got that title in that X Division match, which was pretty spectacular, by the way. So I kind of figured after seeing that he was going to win, but I wasn't necessarily sure. So I was on the fence. Overall, from what I saw, the boys put on a pretty decent match. And I don't think that this feud is over. I think it's going to continue. Because not only did Zachary Wentz pick up the W along with Trey Miguel helping his friend, but he ultimately ended up challenging the new tag team champions to a match, to which has set up a triple threat for NXT against Gallus and Hank and Tank. All three teams have made their bid to go after the new tag team champions. And of course, Ava has taken part in setting that up and letting that be the next battle that they're going to have in NXT. With all that being said, let's go to the North American Championship. The ruler has retained his championship. I thought that Tony was going to win. It did look like he was going to win. He had a pretty decent shot at it. But ultimately, Obafemi was able to go over on Tony. I don't think that this feud between the two of them is over. I did say if he did not win at No Mercy, that they were going to battle it out again. And eventually, Tony would get that title off of Obafemi. But we'll have to wait and see. I was happy with the way this match went. I thought both men put on a stellar performance. It was really fun to watch, and everybody pulled out all the stops. Now, Oba definitely was causing a lot of distraction, going after Luca, and then Stacks going after him. It was just a lot. So I hope the next time that these two do meet, that it is more along the lines of them going at it on their own and there's no interference. Now, the next match that I want to talk about, because that definitely wasn't in order, was Wendy Choo and Kaylani. So again, I didn't see most of this match, but from what I saw, this match went on longer than I expected. But they had a pretty solid matchup. Wendy's a solid wrestler, so I didn't expect anything less from her. And Kaylani rose to the occasion. As much flack as a lot of people give Kaylani, she truly has proven that she's a worthy champion and she deserves that NXT North American Championship. However, Wendy almost had that title at least 2 or 3 times in this match, and it was a pretty decent matchup between the two women. Ultimately, though, Kaylani was able to retain her title, and Wendy ended up suffering a loss. But she also was attacked by Tatum. Tatum was handed her a receipt from being attacked during a previous setup with her in a match after Wendy choked her out, and Tatum initially essentially just returned the favor. Now the next matchup we're gonna talk about is Miss Parker going up against the prodigy Roxanne Perez. Now, as much flack as I give Roxanne, she is pretty much exactly what she claims to be. She always pulls out all the stops when it comes to her and that championship. And every match that she is in where she has a title defense, she usually has a some type of out that she gets in order to retain it. Somebody's usually injured and she goes after the injury. And like I said, many times, rightfully so. If you see an injury, you be a fool to not go after it and take down the initial opponent. However, that seems to be Roxanne's go-to for just about any match that she goes in. If that person is injured, that's what she's gonna do. In the beginning, Jada looked very strong up against Roxanne. Roxanne had a counter for everything Jada had going. But for the most part, both women were equally yoked in this match. And Jada proved that she not only deserved to be there and be in this particular matchup, she also proved that she's definitely gonna be a worthy champion when given the opportunity to be one. Now, at the end of this match is what everybody was screaming and hollering about, because not only did Jada Parker lose this match and Roxanne retain, but Julia showed up. Julia is a very prominent wrestler. And if you know anything about her, then you know that she's one of the most dangerous women in wrestling today. And she is not going to be an easy opponent for Roxanne to just bowl over. And I'm sure Roxanne is going to have her confidence and make it all noise that she's not afraid, but she very much should be, because Julia wrestles extremely hard. And while Roxanne can rise to the occasion, this time, this opponent may just be the end of the Prodigy's era. With all that being said, it was a very hyped up show. Julia popped up and the crowd went nuts. She's a beautiful woman. You see her face. She is absolutely stunning. And she came out there and made it very clear that Roxanne was going to be her target. So we're going to have to wait and see how this is going to play out and what Shawn Michaels is going to do from here on out. I have a few ideas, but it's going to be very interesting. The final match of the night was Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page. Now, the stipulation in this match really was just that Trick Williams was the special guest referee. And for the most part, the match went down without a hitch, except for at the very end. Ethan Page had his foot underneath the ropes, and Joe Hendry was just assuming that he had a clear path to getting this title. He argued with Trick a little bit, basically telling him, like, just count. And he said, I can't. He has his foot under the ropes. He legally is not clear to be pinned, basically. So Joe was frustrated. This led to an opening for Ethan Page to continue his onslaught. And this also led to some discord between Page and Joe Hendry and Trick Williams. All of that got mixed up in together in this match. But ultimately, once Ethan Page, got in the match and was trying to cheat, of course, he knocked out Trick Williams by accident, knocked him out of the ring, and a new ref was immediately ready to come down and count for Ethan Page, which was interesting. After that, he didn't get the pin because Joe Hendry kicked out. Now, after that, he tried again. He brought the belt in, DDT Joe Hendry on the belt. It was a lot going on. Trick saved the count after this DDT. And of course, this led to Ethan Page losing his shit on Trick Williams, attempting to hit him, and ended up knocking out the secondary referee. Now, as Trick turned around to tend to the ref, Ethan Page did what slime balls do, and he low blowed Joe Hendry, and Trick didn't know. All he saw was Ethan Page hit his, what do you call it? What do you call this move? He got a finisher. What is it called?
The ego something. I can't remember.
I don't know. He hit one of his finishers or signatures. I don't remember. He hit something. and he had to count. Trick had to count 1, 2, 3, and Ethan Page retained. I didn't expect Joe Hendry to get the title, but it was a very close and very good effort on Joe Hendry to attempt to get this championship. Now, after that, Pete Dunne came out and attacked Trick Williams after the match was over, and obviously made it very clear that he was, not going to be, he's not finished with Trick Williams yet. And Ethan Page forced Trick Williams to hold his hand up, which as the referee, he did have to do. And that's how the show went off. For the most part, I thought NXT No Mercy did exactly what it was supposed to do. That's what it was called. It's called Ego's Edge. Whatever works for you. Thank you, Donnie. For the most part, the show was pretty decent. I didn't have a problem with how the show went down, except for the first match. Like I said, I feel like that match didn't have to happen the way that it did, and that could have been done at another time, and you could have had the tag team titles face off, and you could have had Ridge going up against Andre Chase at No Mercy instead of doing all of this. You know what I'm saying? That would have made more sense. Is they lose the titles, Ridge attacks him, and then you have Ridge face off against Andre Chase at No Mercy. And then you make Ridge into the monster that he's been being made into for the last, year and a half? Okay, that's how I would have booked it, because it just seemed like it was a bit, it was overdone, in my opinion. It was unnecessary. I didn't feel like it should have taken them this long to get Ridge to turn. Ridge could have turned that night on Ridge could have turned that night on NXT, and then they could have had the story moving on, with him explaining himself. You could have had Andre Chase defending himself and chase you. You could have made this into a smaller match that happened at No Mercy, with Ridge still being the dominant one, and the match not even happening. Just Ridge attacking, beating the hell out of him, and putting him inside of a ambulance. Because you involved the tag team titles, it just made it so unnecessary. That's another problem I have with Triple H and Shawn Michaels booking. Y'all use the titles as a means of setting up stories often, and I feel like you don't have to do that. It's not necessary, because Ridge has been floating around Chase U for months. So and then you already had the Discord with Duke Hudson and what's his name? O'Reilly, is that his name? Riley Osborne?
Yeah.
The other dude, you already had the Discord set up with them. They wasn't really feeling them too much, and then they slowly but surely came around. But you already had planted the seed. All you had to do was keep watering it. But in this case, it was like you watered it, stopped, and then gave it a little bit of trickle of water every day until it came to this. And now you got it saturated, damn near killed the plant. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing that I had an issue with. The only thing. Everything else I thought was perfect. And I was mad because I wanted Oba to drop that title to Tony. I did. I wanted him to, but maybe it was too soon. Maybe they'll have Tony get it later. But at some point, Tony D'Angelo is going to get that championship. I can feel it. Okay. So y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about NXT No Mercy. If you liked the show, if you didn't like the show, what did you like about the show? If you loved it, hated it, whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. I did not have to come on here for a long time to talk about this, because NXT No Mercy was a very straight, simple show. There wasn't a lot going on. And so we just went with what we saw. Now, like I said earlier, Julia showing up now. It's perfect timing for her and, of course, for Roxanne. But if you don't know anything about Julia, I suggest you go to Google, type in this woman's name, and get to know her while you can. And then make sure you keep an open mind for what she's going to be able to do in NXT. Usually, there are little changes or subtle changes to their wrestling abilities, or more specifically, their styles when they come to WWE, because WWE is a corporate mega machine and they have a specific style of wrestling on television. However, I have noticed that when the girls come over from Stardom or New Japan, they usually allow them some time to be able to get acclimated to WWE style of wrestling and actually accommodate their wrestling to WWE style. So, with that being said, hopefully Julia has been able to do that with the time she's been allotted. With all that being said, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed NXT No Mercy. If you didn't watch it, I highly recommend that you watch it on the replay. It should be coming back on within an hour or so. The replay usually shows up on Peacock within an hour or two. So around 11:30, probably 12, they may do the replay, or they might have it up right now. Sometimes they replay it immediately. You never know. Go ahead and go check it out if you haven't seen it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Don't forget to go do your homework on Julia so you can get yourself caught up and you'll be able to understand how this woman works and why she is definitely a danger to Roxanne Perez's NXT Women's Championship. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in my next one. I hope y'all have a good night. I'll see you guys on Monday.